Anime has never been bigger than it is right now. More shows, more seasons, more streaming platforms, more global attention than ever before. It's not something niche as it was 10 years ago when people would make fun of you for watching cartoons. It's become mainstream. But if you've been watching anime for a while, you might feel like something is off. Despite all this growth, a lot of modern anime feels disposable, seasonal, forgettable, not just bad but empty works. And that raises the question, is modern anime actually getting worse, or is it just changing in ways that don't benefit storytelling? This video isn't about nostalgia, and it's not about saying old anime was perfect. Instead, it's about breaking down structural problems in modern anime, problems tied to the industry, production, and creative priorities. One of the biggest issues with modern anime is simple. There's too much of it, and I'm not saying that's not good, but hear me out. Every season we get 40, sometimes 50 new shows. Most of them adapt light novels or manga you've never heard of. And while variety sounds good, this volume creates serious problems. Why? Studios don't have enough time, animators don't have enough rest. As a result, many anime feel rushed or half-finished. They're made to fill a seasonal slot, not to leave a lasting impression. Finish one, then pump the next. And people have become used to that. What's the next big thing has become the question. What's the next Attack on Titan? What's the next Jujutsu Kaisen? Next Demon Slayer? Next My Hero Academia? And so on. Instead of crafting something meaningful, shows are designed to hook you in 3 episodes, and if they fail, they're abandoned and replaced by the next wave. Anime has become content, not craftsmanship. Another major problem that I feel is haunting the industry is the fact that modern anime is afraid to take risks. Most new series aren't just adaptations, they are proven adaptations. Publishers look for stories that already performed well as manga or light novels because they're safer investments. That means fewer original anime, fewer weird ideas that might stand out, fewer creative experiments which might pay off and leave the viewer with something memorable. When originality does exist, it's often buried under familiar structures. The same power systems, the same character archetypes, the same story beats. This creates a loop where anime feels increasingly predictable. You don't wonder what will happen, only when it will happen. And when creators want to try something different, the industry often doesn't give them the budget, time, or trust to fully realize it. But despite all that, recent stories like Dandadan, Kaiju Number 8, Gachakuta, or Sakamoto Days can shine. They have a simple premise but add their own interesting twist to it. But when talking about the death of creative risk and trope fatigue, nowhere is this problem more obvious than with Isekai.
I'm about to skip this shit. Skip. Bro, when does this game get fucking good?
Isekai itself isn't bad. Some of the genre's best entries use the premise to explore identity, power, or escapism. But modern Isekai is oversaturated with shallow wish fulfillment and harem fantasies. We have overpowered protagonists, game-like worlds, minimal character development, zero consequences, and Trakun. Many of these shows feel less like stories and more like fantasies designed to be consumed and forgotten. And the problem isn't that they exist, it's the fact that they dominate seasonal lineups. When one genre crowds out everything else, creativity stagnates. But I have to give some props to shows like ReZero, Mushoku Tensei, Reincarnated as Slime, Konosuba. They were all born from the same idea, but built on it and innovated, adding interesting twists. Not just the cheat skill or the most overpowered bullshit that is plaguing the recent stories. Now, another problem that I've noticed is the fact that pacing has become incredibly aggressive. Stories rush from arc to arc, barely allowing characters or themes to settle. There is no more world building to get the viewer immersed into the story and get attached to the plot. Characters are introduced quickly, given surface level traits, and pushed forward before the audience truly connects with them. Remember when we used to have entire episodes of character development and exposition for a big payoff? Now we are lucky if they aren't killed in the next 3 episodes. And I'm not saying less is worse, quite the opposite. If a story doesn't have to be dragged on just to fill it with nothing to add, it's better to wrap it up. A story is good because it has an end. I feel like this has been a major problem lately with manga and anime, since newer consumers don't have the patience anymore to let the author cook and prepare. Emotional moments happen before they're earned. Big climaxes arrive without proper build-up, and instead of slow character growth, we get sudden power-ups or exposition dumps. This isn't always the writer's fault. Many adaptations simply don't have the episode count needed to tell their stories properly. But the result is the same, anime that feels shallow even when the source material isn't. And since we talked a bit about production, let's get into proper animation. Visually, modern anime is a mixed bag. On one hand, we get stunning animation peaks, jaw-dropping action sequences that dominate social media. A recent example will be the Maki vs the Zenin clan. On the other hand, we get entire rushed episodes that are held together by still frames, shortcuts, and rushed compositioning. The most viral example of this was the recent season 3 of One Punch Man, which felt lifeless and made just to exist and say there was a season 3. This inconsistency comes from brutal production schedules and underpaid animators. Studios are asked to do more, faster, with fewer resources. Digital tools have made anime production quicker, but not necessarily better. Some shows feel overly clean, overly polished, and strangely lifeless, like they're missing texture or personality. When animation becomes a highlight reel instead of a consistent experience, something is lost. Now, what I'm about to discuss might be controversial, but another issue that keeps resurfacing is fanservice. Fanservice isn't inherently bad, but in modern anime it's often inserted without care, breaking the immersion, disrupting tone, undercutting serious scenes, and reducing characters to marketing tools. For example, I couldn't even get through Fire Force without cringing constantly because of Tamaki getting undressed in every single fight she's in, or in every serious topic. But why does fanservice keep happening? The most important one? To attract fans, but second, because anime is increasingly designed around selling Blu-rays, figures, gacha collaborations, and merchandise. They want characters to fill tropes and be sexy just for people to buy their figurines, pillows, and so on. When profit becomes the primary creative driver, storytelling suffers. Characters stop being people and start being products. But to move on from that, at the core of all these issues is the anime industry itself. Animators are overworked and underpaid. Studios operate on razor-thin margins. Priority is on short-term success over long-term quality. I think we've seen examples of that with MAPPA and the season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, where animators and producers took to Twitter to complain and explain why some episodes look far worse than others. In response, they received more hate and more death threats until they had to close their accounts. Modern anime isn't failing because creators don't care, it's failing because they're not allowed the time or freedom to care properly. But, to give props where it's due, the absence of filler, the smoother animation, and fast-paced hooks makes shows much more enjoyable to watch in the present. You don't have to watch 20 episodes just to get into a story, you're much faster introduced into the world of the show. For old-gen anime, you had to watch so many episodes just to get into the meat of the story, and in One Piece's case, you have to watch 300 just to see if you like it, as some people would joke. And to be fair, animation in the present has become so jaw-dropping and impressive to watch, it's absolutely stunning. Even non-anime watchers have become attracted to it. I remember when the episode of Tanjiro fighting Rui dropped and the fight became so viral and it made so many people want to try Demon Slayer. So, despite everything, modern anime isn't doomed. Every year, there are shows that break the mold, stories that take risks, respect their audience, and remind us why we fell in love with anime in the first place. Some of my favorite shows are from the latest years, and it's because of how big of a mark they left on me. But we have to look at the downsides of the industry expanding. The problem isn't modern anime itself, the problem is an industry that treats creativity like a resource to be exploited rather than nurtured. So I want to know your opinion, what do you think? And hey, if you are here, leave a like, a subscribe, and see you next time.